You realize, right?
That's
People
okay.
can see you.
That's okay. So I shouldn't pick my nose.
No.
I'll do that for you.
Takes a second for it to load.
It says you can release your video order here.
And then I'm gonna mute myself. Are you guys?
Oh, it says it's streaming live on Facebook. It's just us though. You want us to tell you our story?
We can't hear it.
And now everybody will see it Facebook Live, and I believe we are, well, actually not yet. All right, we are live. I'm gonna go ahead and mute my video and you guys are good to go.
Okay. Welcome out there, everyone. I'm Wanda.
I'm Ben.
From Drug Free All Stars, and we're going to share a little bit about our recovery pathway, and then we're going to give you information about Drug Free All Stars. So again, my name is Wanda, and I'm a person in long-term recovery. I've been a recovering addict for over 30 years. And when I got clean, there weren't a lot of options. There was a treatment center. You went to the treatment center, you stayed there for 30 days, and that was about it. Yeah, that was really the only options, or stayed home and try to figure it out on your own. I went to treatment at a regular treatment center and found a 12-step program there and got involved with that program before I even left treatment. I had a sponsor who was like a mentor. And as soon as I left treatment, I started attending 12-step meetings daily. I found that was really essential for my recovery. When I started to slack off, I had about 6 months clean, and I started to kind of slack off on my meetings and doing the things that I'd been taught to do in the beginning. I did the 90 days, 90 meetings, all the things that you hear at meetings. If you attend 12-step meetings, you really have to follow those things to make it work. I mean, that's the program, that's how it works. So when I stopped attending meetings or slowed down on my meetings, then I kind of gravitated back to the old crowd and ended up using again. So fortunately, I had 6 months clean when I relapsed, and I was still in outpatient treatment. So I was able to contact my therapist, and I didn't have to go back to treatment, but I did need to get back on track. So I had to go back to meetings. I called my sponsor and made arrangements for her to meet me at a meeting that she didn't show up to, but I was already there. So it didn't really matter because I knew, I had enough. I just didn't want to live that way anymore. So as my recovery progressed, I was very fortunate. I worked at a treatment center for a very long time in the beginning of my recovery. And so it was a really safe environment, and everyone was eat, sleep, drink, recovery 24/7, basically. So I was very blessed in that way. And I'm sure that my higher power knew that that's what I needed, because I, tend to get distracted easily. So being surrounded by recovery people, I could go sit in one of the therapist's offices and just talk to them, on a regular basis. And that's also when I got involved in doing service work, doing hospitals and institutions and going to various treatment centers and speaking and letting people know that there is a way out of addiction. There are solutions to help you stop using and find a better way to live. And like I said, back then, there really weren't a lot of pathways. It wasn't the multiple pathways that we tell people about with Drug Free All Stars. And it took me a minute to get with that too, to be honest with you, because I was a 12-step purist for quite a while. So, it took me a minute to, when the treatment center closed that I worked at, I went to work for, as a health navigator. And I was working with people who were, had multiple problems like mental health issues and health issues along with the addiction. And that was kind of like, when I started to realize that not everybody could do it the way that I did it, that there were people that needed medication assisted treatment. There were people that needed holistic treatment. There were people that needed faith-based treatment. I mean, there were just, other venues that were helpful for other people. So that's not the venue that I do. I still go to 12-step meetings, but I am able to direct people to where they might need to go, what they think will help them. I think that it's important for people to do whatever it is that's going to help them find what path is going to keep them from ruining their life by continuing to use. And it's such a destructive disease. I know I remember thinking that I was never going to get off of welfare, that I was just going to be this poor mom that always drove a raggedy car and wouldn't make it any further in life. And when I got clean, I went back to school and I got my associate's degree, and then I thought I was going to keep going to school, but God intervened and said, no, this is what you're going to do. So I went to the treatment center full time. I was supposed to only work part time. And, that I know that God always puts me, my higher power puts me where I need to be. So I've always thought that sponsorship was important. I got a sponsor before I got out of treatment. I got a new one when I relapsed. And, I think that it's really important for you to have a network of people, because your sponsor isn't always going to be there. Like, I work hours that I can't have my phone where I work, so people can't always get a hold of me. So it's important to have a network of people to call. And I stress that, women need to stick with women and men need to stick with men in early recovery, because it's too easy to get distracted from what's important when you're in early recovery. It's important for you to find yourself, because I know I use drugs to cover up whatever, to cover up feelings. I couldn't even identify feelings when I got clean. I remember I was having all these weird feelings and I was telling this lady at one of the meetings about it. And she was like, well, that's anxiety. I'm like, what? I had no clue, I was totally clueless. So even today, still, we have a little refrigerator magnet that has all the little faces on it. I still go to that sometimes if I'm having difficulty trying to identify what's going on, I'm pretty familiar with anxiety now. I know what that is. But through recovery, I've been really fortunate that I've been able to have a lot of blessings, meet a lot of people, grow a really large network of friends. Most people in my family are in recovery. My son is in recovery. My daughter-in-law is in recovery. So, you know, we still kind of eat, sleep, drink recovery. And that's just how our life is. And that's the life we choose. We love that life. We regularly, Ben and I are speaking somewhere. This Saturday, actually, I'm going down to Livingston County to speak. And normally Ben would go with me because we tend to try to work together to keep that women with women and men with men. That's what's worked best for me. You know, in early recovery, I found myself getting caught up a lot of times in relationships, and I wasn't healthy enough to be in a relationship. I had no business being in a relationship. I don't tell people stay out of a relationship for a year because I didn't do that. So I'm not going to tell people to, I share usually my own experience, strength, and hope. If somebody comes to me with an issue, if I know someone that's experienced that, know someone who might have a solution or be able to assist them with that, then I will generally direct them to that person instead, because I don't, you know, I don't by any means know everything. Just because I've been around for a long time, I still have my own issues. I still have, you know, my own problems. I still have, you know, stress. I mean, life is still life. It still comes at you. You know, where I work, we have to be tested for COVID every week. Very annoying. Can't do anything about it. I'm powerless. We have to test the people that are in our facility. We have to test every week. That's very annoying. They're annoyed about it. We're annoyed about it. So, you know, there's a lot of annoying things going on in the world today. And I don't have to use over it. You know, before that would have been an excuse to use. And one of the biggest tools that I got when I got clean after I came back from my relapse was, that's it. I don't care what happens, no matter what, I'm not going to use. You know, drugs are not the solution for anything, you know. So I gave up alcohol way long time before I gave up the rest of other substances, and especially tobacco. I didn't quit smoking until, it's been 20 years now, but you know, I had 10 years clean when I quit smoking, and I wish I would have stopped it all at once, but that just wasn't the way that it happened. So, you know, I just, you know, now, and I do still drink coffee. There's still, you know, there's still some things that I could work on. And I actually am dealing with that a little bit because it's health related for me a lot. And I don't, you know, I quit the drinking because I was really getting sick, violently sick from it. And I think that runs in my family because everybody's diabetic. I'm not diabetic, thank goodness, but there is a lot of diabetes in my family, and alcohol doesn't tend to be conducive to helping people with their blood sugar levels. So I stopped that, but I kept going on with the other stuff until the police got involved, and I lost my son through protective services. So, you know, that was enough for me. I didn't have to, you know, anybody can make their own bottom. You get to say when enough is enough, right? That's, you know, that's the thing. But we, as recovering addicts, want to be here for you when you reach that point to help you figure out which pathway is going to be best for you. Maybe it's a mixture of pathways. I know a lot of people that go to Celebrate Recovery and they go to 12-step meetings and they, go to the Serenity House and get the Reiki and the meditation, AccuDetox. There's lots of services offered at the Serenity House. So yeah, it's a journey, it's an adventure, it's a matter of, what you want, right? Because recovery, you have to want it. No one can want it for you. No one can do it for you. No one can recover for you. No one can do the work for you. You have to do it yourself. No one could, my parents and my family, they couldn't, do anything to get me to stop using. I had to make that decision. I had to say, okay, now I won't say that they didn't do an intervention, because they did in fact do an intervention with me. And I know those are notoriously not, don't have a real high success rate, but for me, it worked, and when we went to protective services and, I was like, well, I'm just going to kill myself. That'll be the solution. And they were like, yep, time for treatment. So that's how I ended up in treatment. And, so I still suffer from mental health issues. I still have a lot of depression sometimes with the weather and, so I have to use the tools of recovery for other, all of the symptoms of my health. I'm sure my mental health was not helped at all by using substances. So, that now, I'm able to, I've learned how to live a program to be able to recover and use the steps in my life and the program to help me with my mental health issues as well. It's a challenge for sure. It is a challenge, but it's possible. I like to, let people know that it's possible. Even if you have multiple disorders going on, I'm here to tell you that as a person who has multiple disorders going on, it is possible to live a really great life and enjoy life and be able to be happy. So I'm going to turn it over to my husband, Ben, and let him share his story with you guys.
Hey, good job, honey. All right, so I'm Asian Ben. That's what people know me as, is Asian Ben. So my story is quite a bit different than my wife's. I don't have 30 years clean or plus 30 years. I just celebrated 7. And I am an individual that is very hard-headed. Take a long time to learn something. Hey, everybody out there, blink once if you can hear me and twice if you can't. How many of you guys blinked?
Yeah.
Don't lie. So, it started a long time ago, 9 years old is when I started using. So, yeah, and we're watching on Facebook Live too. That's what I kept looking at. And that's what my wife keeps looking at. So, it took me a long time. 18 treatment centers, 9 overdoses, getting down to 62 pounds. And I tried everything underneath the sun to try to get right. And I just couldn't, and at 62 pounds, it's, as you some of you that know me, I'm huge now, but can you imagine me at 62 pounds? Right. So, and multiple felonies, 6-time convicted felon. So I don't know what you're going through, but, and I'm not that type of person that says, if I can do it, you can do it. I don't know what your situation is, but if you put the footwork in and keep being persistent at recovery, then anything is possible. So that being said, a little bit back on my background, I don't know what time, when it was, as far as one of the treatment centers that I was trying to get into said, "Hey, you've been there 9 times, and what's going to be different?" I said, "I don't know. I just know I'm going to die if I stay out on the streets." So he checked it out, and he's like, "Dude, they're not going to fund you." And I'm like, "Oh shit, I'm going to die." So I sat there in that chair, and he's like, "Well, let me do one more check." And back then, I don't know if they have them now, but they had a state funding, federal funding, and I got a federal funded bed. And he's like, "Well, you're in luck. We're gonna send you here, and it's do or die, sink or swim." And I was that type of person that, I prayed to the God of my understanding that, what, just help me out this time. I won't ever do it again. And that prayer is totally, wrong. I should have said, "I'm absolutely gonna do it again and help me out," because that's what happened. I always done it over and over and over again. And I never listened in the meetings. My mind was always going this way, that way, and I was focusing on other things, or I'd be looking at the person and not looking at the message. And I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get past 30, 60, 90 days. And that was the hard part. And I see people that had multiple years in recovery, and I'm like, well, man, they ain't no better than me, and I ain't no better than them. What am I doing wrong? And it was told to me early in recovery, "Are you being teachable?" And I had to stop and think about it for a second. I'm like, well, yeah, I'm being teachable. Are you working the steps? No. Did you get a book? No. Well, I did work the steps. Well, my thought, because I read them every time they were on, treatment centers have the steps written on the wall. So I thought every time I had to go to a meeting, which they forced me to, I went in there and I read the steps. So I thought, man, I've done all the steps, 1 through 12. And then I would just pick out the ones that I wanted to do, 1, 3, 9. And then because there wasn't a 13 and I heard so much about 13 step, and I kind of thought, well, where's the 13 step? And so I never went through the complete step process. And I never wrote on nothing. I never opened my book. I probably cut more dope on my book than I did opening it and reading it. But I was one of those people that had a book. And I see all the people back then, they would buy like $150 Nikes, but they wouldn't buy a book. So I started getting into actually opening my book when I wasn't at a meeting. I started taking suggestions like get a sponsor. Well, how do I get a sponsor? And the guy's like, "Jackass, just ask for a sponsor." And it was one of those things that was like, I don't know how to ask for a sponsor. He's like, "Just ask for a sponsor." So I got a sponsor. And he's like, "Well, call me for a week." And I'm like, "Man, that's stupid. Why do I got to call you for a week, dude?" And he's like, "Well, if you can't follow a simple direction to follow me or to call me every day for a week, then what kind of suggestion are you going to take when I tell you that might save your life?" And that kind of made sense to me at the time. And it makes a lot more sense now with having a little bit of a foundation. But back then it was like, dude, I'm a grown ass man. Why do I have to call you and let you know what I'm doing, where I'm at, so on and so forth? And so I started taking suggestions. I started opening my book. I started reading and writing. And I can't stand writing. I'm like, dude, I don't have to write. I know it all up in here. I'm smart. I thought I was smart at the time. But I'm like, I got it stuck here. I don't need to write it down. And it was like, he's like, but the reason why you write things down, this is how it was explained to me, is that it's something that doesn't change once you put it on paper. You can mix it up however you want in this little brain of mine, and it's not going to change because I done wrote it down. So that made a little bit of sense. And then he says, well, it's something tangible. This is our Sam's notebook, but it's something because of the human nature. I tend to not believe if I don't see. So writing it down, it gives me something to look at, and I can pick it up and feel it. And that made a whole lot of sense to me. So I'm like, okay. And I write like a 5-year-old. My penmanship sucks. So it's kind of like, I couldn't read my crap that I wrote down. So how is anybody else going to read? He's like, just write it down, man. But so when I started doing these steps, I was complicating the crap out of it. A lot of the questions being asked are simple yes and no questions, but no, I had to break it down, analyze it, and complicate the crap out of everything that I did. You know, and I had to go back into like what I was doing in active addiction. You know, a simple direction was meet me at this corner store in at this amount of time. And sure enough, I was there and I did it. Right. If the guy said I'm just around the corner and 8 hours later, I'm calling him up again for the 1200th time going, dude, what corner are you on? Like in Detroit, Chicago? I've been here 8 hours. But I stayed there and did exactly what the guy told me to do. Simple direction was just meet me at that store, blah, blah, blah. So when I was doing the steps, I would try to break it down, analyze it, figure out how it's not going to work for me because I'm unique and, everything is totally different when it comes to me. And he's like, dude, are you an addict? And I'm like, well, yes, no, maybe so. I don't know. Give me a day to think about it and I'll get back with you. Kind of shit like that, and well, it's either a yes or no question, man. And so when I get frustrated doing these steps and I'm like, man, I'm done. I'm over it. I'm good. I done 14 days in a treatment center, 18 of them. I'm cured. So I can go straight to step 12 and start helping people because I got my life back together in 14 days. And I read every single step on the wall. So I must have, graduated, right? But so going back to writing my steps and once I figured out that I don't have to complicate everything that I do and just follow simple directions, suggestions, and some of the literature, it tended to get a little bit easier, and once I figured out that I am my worst own enemy, it was a little bit easier. But until I figured that out, it was one of those things where I was just bumping my head into the wall, and like Wanda was saying about the men with men and women with women, early in my recovery, I you know what, I'm going to be honest, I used to just go to meetings just to look at chicks and get hugs. That's all, and it wasn't about, I wanted to stop getting high and I wanted to stop going through the withdrawals, but it was one of those things that I wasn't going for a message, social hour, see who was there, who wasn't there, so on and so forth, but once I figured out that I needed to focus on a message and not somebody else's mess, it got a little bit clearer for me, and here's a little story that, in the Flint area, people always, I don't know, not all people, but a lot of people say that, man, I just love meetings, and every meeting. And it's like, well, and I love everybody in meetings. And then, and it was one of those things that was said that if you love everybody in the meeting, then you're not going to enough meetings, and so some of the meetings in our area, it's like a chaotic clown class, and it's there's this one individual that just, I don't know why, I just wanted to punch him in the face every time I seen him. He done absolutely nothing wrong to me. I don't know why, I just rubbed him the wrong way. So I went to my sponsor and I'm like, dude, this guy, it just irks me the wrong way. I can't shake it. And he says, well, it's probably something, that he, that you see in him that's in you, and you're just, and I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever, dude. And he's like, well, put your head down and do this while he's speaking and listen for the message. I'm like, yeah, okay. So I actually followed direction. I went to this meeting and sure enough, he's there and he's sharing on the same crap that he's been sharing on for 6 years now. And in my head, I'm getting judgmental and I'm thinking, okay, dude, if you're working a program, you should have worked a little bit past that in 6 years. Okay, it's your program, not mine. So I'm listening, and he comes up and he says, for the newcomer, and I'm 18 months clean at the time, and he says, for the newcomer, you don't ever have to use again. dude, at 18 months clean, I don't know how many times, countless times I heard, you don't ever have to use again. It clicked. And I'm like, wow, I don't ever have to use again. It's not to say that, I relapsed since then, but, it's one of those things that it clicked, and these little cliches in these rooms or whatever group that you go to eventually stick if you hear them long enough. And so when put my head down and wasn't focusing on him and whatever else, and a message that would work for Ben and not anybody else in the room, but for me, it clicked that I don't ever have to use again. My clean date today is September 9th, 2013. So I just celebrated 7 years. That not to say that my original clean date, it was April 28th, which is my stepson, his clean date. It was 2007. I relapsed. I was out on the road. I cut my finger off. You can see there. Yeah. And my relapse process is just like the book says, starts long before I pick up the first drug. I was already manipulating. I was already lying. I was already thieving. I was already doing everything in active addiction, except I didn't put any drugs on me. So when I cut my finger off, the doctor's like, well, hey, we got to put this stuff in you. And I'm like, oh, right on, run it. And when he did, I was off and running. My disease doesn't know any different from Genesis Hospital, McLaren Hospital, or Hurley Hospital versus the street drugs. It just knows something is in me, and it made me feel good, and I was off and running for 8 months. Caught 7 more felonies, pleaded down to 1. Everybody in the jailhouse is calling Wanda, going, what's up with this dude? Why is he so nuts and crazy? And so on and so forth. But so now my new clean date is September 9th, 2013. And I'm truly grateful. When I drive by county jails and prisons, in which I do on a frequent basis because I'm a truck driver, I look over there and I'm grateful that, the recovery has stuck in this pea brain of mine that I don't ever have to use again. And it's a great relief. And nowadays with social media, we see a lot of overdoses and people struggling out there. I wish it was that easy to just hand it to somebody. But just like Wanda and myself and everybody in our family, that, we had to put our own footwork in. And sometimes we have to actually stop and ask for help. And, and as a male, I was brought up as you don't ask for help, you don't cry, you don't show emotion. But then I have to think about what I was taught and who I was taught by, and is it right in my life today? And sometimes I don't like the answer, and sometimes I do. But I've also learned in recovery that everything that I've learned up to this point is a learned behavior. Everything out there that I've done out on the streets, I didn't just wake up and learn how to bang dope. I had to learn how to do it. All these bad habits are a learned behavior. So when I come into recovery, I just have to change that thought process and flip it over to a learned behavior in a positive direction. And it's taken time. I'm getting better at it. Not to say that I don't fall short on a daily basis sometimes, but I am getting better at making decisions. Just don't ask my wife. Sometimes I make some pretty poor decisions and choices. However, on the flip side, I do make some good decisions, and I also have some good ideas. Like sticking the Harley in the pontoon when we go on a vacation so we can have the boat and the pontoon. That was a good idea, right? I'm going to figure out how to do that. But in a serious note, recovery is awesome. Anything is possible to go for where we came from to where we're at today. Huge leaps and bounds. Life is full of trials and tribulations. However, I don't have to react and respond to every single thing that happens to me. And recovery has also taught me that I don't have to fight every single battle. being in recovery, I get to choose my battles today, and some of them are just not worth fighting over, you know. So I don't know, whatever you're going through, whatever you're struggling with, reach out. We're going to talk a little bit about Drug Free All Stars here, what we do, what we stand for, what it's about. Pick up a phone and call somebody if you're struggling, whatever it is, whether it's drugs, alcohol, gambling, sex, whatever it may be. There's something out there that can help you get out of the rut that you're in. And chances are that whatever you're going through, your little head's going to tell you that you don't want to tell anybody that. Somebody's probably been through it and done it, and probably better than you, and knows how to get out of it clean. So use the numbers, use your network, use social media. Don't isolate and think that, you know, you can do this on your own. My experience is that I couldn't do it on my own. I had to ask for help. I had to ask for direction. And nobody knew what I was going through and how to get out of the mess that I created out of my life unless I told them, hey, I need help. I don't know how to do this, and I don't know where to go and what to do. So I appreciate the Serenity House and for asking us, everybody on their team, and that put this, whatever this, I don't know, Zoom thing is, for allowing us to come out and speak and share our experience, strength, and hope. And but I do want to add that anybody struggling out there with whatever it may be, ask yourself two questions. And these are two pertinent questions I constantly got to ask myself. And is, am I done, and what am I willing to do? With those two questions, it's helped me out tremendously, not only in recovery, but in the workplace, in society at large, whatever it may be. Am I done, and what am I willing to do to change whatever it is that's going on? So thank you, everybody, and have a great night. Now we're going to talk about Drug Free All Stars.
Okay, so Drug Free All Stars was founded in Pontiac, Oakland County by Stacy Burns. And I'm
Who's that chick?
I'm totally not gonna remember the exact date. It seems like she just said we celebrated 5 years, right? Yeah. So in 2015, and Ben and I went to a UFRAM rally, event that was near our home, and met Stacy and heard her speak, and we were like, wow, you know, that's something we need here in Flint. That's something we need here in Flint, because there were too many people, too many addicts that we saw that were leaving meetings because they were not speaking the right way, or not saying the right thing, or not being able to take the path that they needed. I sponsor a lot of young women, and usually they start about 19 years old. I have some girls now that have 8, 9, 10 years clean that were 18 or 19 when I met them. And, you know, they had to have a different path, right? Their drug of choice wasn't necessarily my drug of choice, but that doesn't mean that I can't assist them. And so, you know, that's kind of where, as soon as I met Stacy and heard what their mission of one voice, you know, of being one voice, that whatever it is you need to help you make a better life and help you find the pathway of recovery. That's what Drug Free All Stars is about. We're about helping you find what pathway works for you. So maybe we got to try 2 or 3 pathways, or maybe maybe you need to travel a little ways down one pathway and take somebody from a couple other pathways with you so that you can hang out with them and do what they're doing at the same time, right? So like some of those girls are on medication assisted treatment, and a couple of them, that's just the way it is going to be for them. They're just not able to, that is their path. That's their path. And they're far better than they were when they came in, and they were, nodding off at the table and stuff like that. They're able to function, they're able to have their children, they're able to hold jobs, they're able to associate with their family members again. All those things that we usually lose when we're in the depths of our addiction, because we just don't care usually, right? So in Flint, we cover Genesee County, Shiawassee, and Lapeer. And so I'm going to give you some phone numbers, but you can call any of those numbers, and I don't, wherever you're at, if you're in Florida or you're in Texas or wherever you might be, we will find a number for you or get a link for you of a contact to get you some assistance, because we know how hard it is for you to reach out and make that first call, right? So, we want people to be unafraid, because we're not judging you. We're not judging you. That was a big thing for Ben and I when we said, you know what, we need to do this. Let's start a chapter here in Flint, and because it's badly needed. And Stacy told us, well, you need to get 5 people. And so we did that, and we still have pretty much the same 5 people. Roles have evolved and changed a little bit, but now our meetings are regularly, 10, there's at least 10 people at our meetings, and we have a lot of recovery coaches on our team. I know that Stacy has a lot of recovery coaches on her team in Oakland, and they cover Oakland, Pontiac, Detroit, Wayne. Somebody's going to get mad at me because I'm going to miss a county or something, but they cover, multiple counties there. And again, if you're in Port Huron or you're in Ann Arbor or you're in one of the counties we didn't mention, call us anyway. We will help you find a place to go. We'll help you get some assistance with whatever issue it is that you're having. We have resources when we go to events like fairs, health fairs, any kind of public event. We go there and set up a table, and we put out brochures for every organization that we're aware of that has assistance for people, whether it's domestic violence, whether it's gambling addiction, whether it's 12-step meeting list, housing, medication assisted treatment, Narcan training. We have all that stuff, information of where you can get that stuff available to us. And we put it out on the table for people to come and get, and you can call us. You can call us, you can get on Facebook on the Drug Free All Stars page, and they will, someone there will help you. Just pose a question, and you'll be amazed at how quickly you receive some help. Now, if you're an addict like me, you'll want it to be what you want, the way you want it, and that's just not reality a lot of times. So we try to, help people, guide them in, as close as we can get to whatever it is they're looking for. Because like you might be looking to get into a residential treatment center today, and there may not, right now especially, it may take us a minute to get you in. It doesn't usually, but it can. So, you know, we're always striving to get you help as quickly as we can, because we know as addicts, that's what we want. We want the quick fix. We want help, and we want it now, and we want what we want when we want it. And that doesn't really change, but no, my knowledge of it has changed, and my ability to help people has definitely changed. The resources that I tend to share with people are a lot different today in my recovery than when I was in early recovery, because I know that my daughter-in-law got clean, and she does mostly holistic stuff. She does attend 12-step meetings, but my son is a total purist. He only does 12-step meetings. That's what he does, except maybe she may practice something on him, acupuncture, or if she's smart, I would, I don't know, but maybe I'm just telling her to do that for me. So, you know, there's just so many different avenues. I have, you know, so many numbers, and I, you know, direct young ladies to Celebrate Recovery, Free Indeed, Reformers Unanimous. And we actually, on the team in Flint and Genesee County, we actually have people from, you know, all different, we have people from Reformers Unanimous, we have people from 12 Steps, we have people from Holistic, from the Serenity House, that sit on our board. We have a lady who runs Recovery Housing. She sits on our board. And, you know, that's what we need. That's, you know, that's the network that we need to be able to provide, you know, what people are looking for. And I just want to give a shout out to Haley Bukowski, because she runs a recovery house. She runs Great Lakes Recovery Mission, and she is, you know, a very solid member of our team. And while she's not in recovery from substance abuse herself, she's the most dynamic person, and is so passionate about helping people. She's like 9 times out of 10 my first call, if it's not to one of the treatment centers. And we do have people on our team that work at various treatment centers in Genesee County. So I know that it's the same at the Oakland team. They have people that work at treatment centers there. And so we're all really, you know, connected with recovery networks and different venues and modalities of treatment and assistance for people. So if you needed to get into the methadone clinic, or you wanted to get on Vivitrol, or you know, whatever it is that you're thinking you want to try to get you on a better path in your life, we can help you locate the resources to do that. So
Before you put that on there, not only do we have the resources for to get you where you need to be, Drug Free All Stars is also there to help you when you get out of treatment. Once you make that original call, you don't have to worry about being dropped, because all too often, a lot of people that go into treatment centers don't know what to do afterwards, right? And they're lost, and they don't know where to go, what to do. Our number is still there and available. Once you get out of a treatment center and you feel stuck, what do I do now? Where do I go? And now that I'm out of treatment, a lot of times the treatment centers are done with you. Call us. Hey, I'm struggling. I don't know where to go, what to do. And we'll give you suggestions and say, hey, you know, we can hook you up with this individual to help you with your outpatient, or help you with your housing. You know, we help a lot of family members, not just the people out there in the madness. We get as many calls from family members. Well, I don't know how to deal with this guy, you know, and If places like this were available for my parents, they probably would have drove them nuts trying to figure out what to do with my crazy butt, you know. But so that's what we're doing is we try to not only help the still sick and suffering out there, we try to help the family members, because and ultimately it is a family disease. Even though they may not be in the madness, they're still dealing with people like us. And, you know, like Wanda was saying about if you're in Florida, Texas, California, you know, I got a call and the individual that needed help was in Kentucky. So I called Wanda, I called multiple people, and we figured out and got numbers for a treatment center in Kentucky. Now, the last follow-up call that I done, the individual called the number and the process got rolling. So it doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter what you're going through. It doesn't matter whatever the issue is. We as Drug Free All Stars can reach out to the Serenity House and Odyssey, Fan, DFAS. We got so many resources that we can put out there for whatever you're seeking help for. However, you got to take that first step. And I know, and I can speak for almost everybody on our team and the team in south of us, that any one of us will go a million miles for you. However, you got to take that first step and you got to continue stepping. And we will do whatever possible. I will say one thing: you can't come live at my house, and I'm not going to give you money. Other than that, we will help you out in any possible way that we possibly can. And I know the team down in Detroit area, well, Macomb, Oakland, someone's going to yell at me for saying Detroit, but that's
Wayne.
okay. Wayne, that's it, Wayne. So she's going to read some numbers off to you and definitely use them. Hey, you know what? Even if you just want to call and say, hey, how you doing today? You know what? I'll take that call.
You can call and tell Ben how silly he is.
My ears look big on here.
Anyways, I guess I also just wanted to mention that in Genesee County, we work a lot with FAN. So we send family members to FAN, to their Families Against Narcotics. They have support groups here in Flint. And so that's generally the direction that we send family members in. But they also have ties to Hope Not Handcuffs and the Angels program. So there's a lot of resources out there for families as well, and families that are trying to get help for their person who's in need of recovery. So anyways, I'm going to give you the numbers. First, I'm going to give you the Genesee County numbers. We do actually have two numbers in Genesee County that we still have up and running. And one is the men's line, which is 810-250-7657.
That's me.
That's him, right? And Glenn and
Tim.
Randy and Tim, and there's like 6 of them.
Yep.
And you don't want them to all be there at one time, trust me. And then we have a women's line that is 810-207-1127. And usually me or Nicole, I think Rachel's on there still, and maybe Amy's still on there. So somebody's going to answer the phone. If you call, someone will answer and we'll be able to help you. You can also leave a message. The mobile hotline, that is the main hotline for Drug Free All Stars, which is for Oakland, is 248-907-3833. And then you can always get on Facebook. Always get on Facebook and go to the Drug Free All Stars page, and there's a wealth of resources there. There's so many people on there that will, bend over backwards to spend time talking to you, listening to you, trying to help you get through whatever it is you might be going through. And then there's also the web page, which is kind of in transition, so it may or may not be exactly accurate. Because we've been having a web person work on it. But the web page is drugfreeallstars.org. So you can, type that into your browser and hit that, and it'll give you resources. It'll bring up the page with biographies on us, and these numbers will be on there as well. So again, it's been a pleasure talking to all of you. I hope that you heard something that will help you. If you're a family member and you're out there listening, we're here to assist you any way that you might need help. We're able to help you too. That's essential. It's a family disease. Everybody in our family, except for our youngest son, is not in recovery because he doesn't have an issue, but he will tell you about recovery quicker than anything. Like, you need a meeting, he'll tell you that for sure. So thank you so much, Tave, Serena, Tara, all the team at Serenity House Flint who asked us to come out and speak tonight. We will be at their trunk or treat event on Friday the 30th.
What are you going as? I'm going as an Asian guy.
They're having a trunk or treat event in the parking lot at the Serenity House, and we will be there. Drug Free All Stars will be there with merchandise. So come out and get some candy.
Yeah, if you want a cool sweatshirt like this.
I'll have Batman standing with me handing out candy, and I don't know, I'm gonna put him somewhere where he's not gonna annoy me, but he can annoy Tave or Serena or one of them. That'll be good for the night. It'll be a full moon, so it'll be kind of a safer environment. If you come get some candy from us, we'll have I don't know what they'll be doing. Maybe Tave will hook up some drumming people, or I don't even know, but it's going to be a good time. And so we invite you to come out and join us there, and that's it. So everybody have a great evening.